FERRERO talks about the turning point for Alcaraz that took him to world number 1 in 2025. It gave him the confidence he needed. The man who has been named ATP Coach of the Year alongside Samu Lopez talks about the moment when the young player from Murcia changed his attitude forever. That Carlos Alcaraz is beginning to write more than one page in the history books of tennis is no longer a secret to anyone. Although the player from Murcia was not the only one to be honored this year, as his coaches, Juan Carlos Ferrero and Samu Lopez, have won the ATP Coach of the Year award. It has been an exceptional season for their protégé, who claimed 8 titles, 2 of them Grand Slams. However, even in the best households there are problems, and the year also had its complications for the Alcaraz team. FERRERO talks about Carlos Alcaraz's ups and downs. After being recognized as Coach of the Year, the ATP Tour interviewed FERRERO, who reviewed a season that did not start in the best way. In March, Carlitos was beaten by David Goffin in his opening match at the Miami Masters 1000. Carlos had just won in Rotterdam, where he played brilliantly. But in Indian Wells and Miami he lost a bit of confidence. The tournament affected him and we talked when we got back. We talk a lot with him, but when we see that he's in a bad mood or feeling weak at some point in the season, we always talk a bit more from a psychological point of view and as friends, rather than as coaches. Winning in Monte Carlo, without playing very well but with a 10 out of 10 attitude, helped him gain confidence for the rest of the season. From there, he reached many finals and achieved incredible results in the Grand Slams. But Monte Carlo was a revelation. It gave him the confidence he needed and, from there on, he was able to achieve incredible results, FERRERO explains, revealing what re-energized the current world number 1. What's more, Carlitos showed his resilience there, as that match marked the start of a run in which he would win 51 of his next 53 matches. How Samu Lopez experienced it. Samu Lopez, Carlos Alcaraz's other coach, backed up FERRERO's words, agreeing that Monte Carlo changed everything. Carlos has matured and realized the importance of expressing his feelings. After Monte Carlo, he talked much more about how he was feeling, and that helped him a lot to express himself better when it came to difficulties, fears, and everything that comes with being there and handling the pressure of the tour. From now on, that motivation must keep growing, wanting more great things that are within reach of so few, and from there, staying motivated and not settling for anything, always fighting for more with the joy that characterizes him and that he passes on to everyone, Samu concluded, with a clear mission, to take Carlitos as high as possible. FERRERO reveals Carlos Alcaraz's biggest change for 2026. This Thursday, the ATP awarded Juan Carlos Ferrero and Samu Lopez as the Coaches of the Year. Both have guided Carlos Alcaraz to lifting 8 titles, including Roland Garros and the US Open, as well as reclaiming the world number 1 ranking. In an interview with the ATP after receiving the award, FERRERO explained the importance both coaches have in guiding the player from Murcia. The goal is for Carlos to work at 100% and bring out the talent he has inside. We do it through work and discipline, but at the same time with joy and happiness. In that sense, I may be a bit stricter and more serious. And Samuel is more open and joking, but at the same time with the seriousness that is needed when it's time to work, he said. Regarding the objectives for 2026, Lopez explains that our mission is to keep his ambition awake. Knowing Carlos, it won't happen, but obviously you can't settle for what he has already achieved. From now on, that motivation has to keep growing, wanting to achieve great things that are within reach of very few, staying highly motivated and never settling for anything, always going for more with the joy that characterizes him and that he spreads to all of us, FERRERO adds. In his statements to the ATP on the occasion of the 2025 Coach of the Year recognition, Samuel Lopez, Carlos Alcaraz's coach alongside another former world number 1 like Juan Carlos Ferrero, briefly explains what should be the main aspect to take care of in the Merchant's preparation for a 2026 season in which he could finally complete the career Grand Slam if he wins the Australian Open. Carlos Alcaraz reached the ATP number 1 ranking for the second time in his career in 2025, with great performance throughout the year and finishing strongly at the Nitto ATP Finals against Jannik Sinner, who defeated him in the Turin final, along with some discomfort that later resulted in edema and cut short his participation in the Davis Cup. There were 71 wins, out of 80 matches, 8 titles and 2 Grand Slams, which returned him to the top he had already occupied in 2022. For Samuel Lopez, coach alongside Juan Carlos Ferrero of the brilliant player from El Palmar, who will soon begin working again on his preparation, the great difficulty for 2026, as he explains in statements to the ATP website, is not getting there, but staying there, as the saying goes. From that point on, the mind has to be focused on maintaining that level and not settling for anything. Always going for more, with the joy he is known for, which he ends up passing on to the rest of us, Lopez admits, holding in his hands the secret of one of the greatest gems of sport in our country. The leaked conversation between Alcaraz and Fonseca that got everyone talking. After their intense exhibition match in Miami, it wasn't just the result that caught the public's attention. What really set social media on fire was the leaked conversation between Carlos Alcaraz and João Fonseca, an exchange that showed chemistry, respect, and healthy competitiveness between two players destined to face each other many times in the future. The match itself was pure show. Fonseca went up 5-0 in the super tie-break and seemed to have everything under control, but Alcaraz switched on Roland Garros champion mode, mounted a comeback with the freshness that defines him, and ended up closing the duel 7-5, 2-6, 10-8. The crowd exploded. But the best came afterward. According to the leaked conversation, the first thing Alcaraz did was joke with Fonseca about that devastating start. "Man, at 5-0 you were already tasting it, huh? But nobody gives up here," Alcaraz said with a laugh. Fonseca, without losing the good humor that characterizes him so much, replied, "I almost had it, brother. But you've got a trick. The kid is good, very good." Both exchanged unfiltered compliments. Alcaraz made it clear he was impressed by the Brazilian's power. "I love how you hit the ball. Very strong, very aggressive. That style is very similar to mine." And the most talked about part, the Spaniard confessing that the only real difference between them right now is experience and current physical condition. "Physically we're different, that's normal. But in terms of game, you're on the same path." Fonseca, who at 19 has already won titles in Buenos Aires and Basel, held nothing back. "It's a pleasure to play with you, man. You're a machine. Thanks for the opportunity." The full conversation oozes mutual admiration, zero ego, and a strong desire to face each other again. Alcaraz, delighted with Miami and his rival. During the conversation, it also leaked that Alcaraz was surprised by how special it was to play in a baseball stadium. "I'd never played on a court like this before, it's a different vibe. And against you, even more special." That atmosphere, combined with the level shown by Fonseca, made the Spaniard leave the stadium with a huge smile. Why was this conversation so talked about? Because it showed something fans love? Closeness, humor, respect, and two generations that understand each other perfectly. There was no cold diplomacy, but rather a natural and spontaneous exchange that confirmed what many already suspected: Fonseca is the real deal, and Alcaraz knows it. An exhibition that wasn't just an exhibition. Between impossible comebacks, ovations, and a chat that quickly went viral, it became clear that this first clash between Alcaraz and Fonseca was only the prologue to a rivalry that promises a lot. And if this is how they talk off the court, what's coming on it will be even better. Alcaraz and Sinner talk about their rivalry. "We play a fundamental role in the appeal of our sport." The Spaniard and the Italian made joint statements on the occasion of the exhibition match they will play in January in South Korea. Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner have been the absolute kings of men's tennis in 2025, and it seems that this will continue in 2026. While waiting to know the physical condition of Novak Djokovic and the absence of other rivals capable of challenging them, everything indicates that they will continue sharing the cake between them. And if seeing each other constantly in tournament finals is not enough, in fact, this year they have played a total of 6 times, 4 for Carlos Alcaraz and 2 for Jannik Sinner. Now they will meet again in an exhibition match. Specifically in South Korea on January 10, 8 days before the Australian Open. So both spoke about this match and about their great rivalry in an interview for Tennis Korea. Eager to play in front of Korean fans. Sinner: "This match is a great opportunity not only for me, but also for Carlos. The simple fact of being able to play tennis in front of Korean fans is incredibly special. Another great reason is that I can regain my rhythm at least once before the Australian Open. Getting the rhythm and the feeling for the game back on court helps me tremendously in my preparation for the season. Considering all these factors, I gladly accepted this invitation." Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner talk about their tennis rivalry. Alcaraz: "This comparison is a real honor for me as a player. I think it means a lot that tennis fans feel the same when watching our matches. Rivalries in sport are a powerful aspect that fuels fans' interest, and I was also very inspired by the rivalry between Rafa Nadal and Roger Federer during my childhood. Jannik and I have already faced each other on many big stages and have played intense matches. We have faced each other in several Grand Slam finals, and I think we strengthen each other. With a long career ahead, I hope we can continue with this positive rivalry that will help us grow together." Sinner: "Rivalries are a fundamental part of our sport. In their era, there were great rivalries between Roger Federer, Rafa Nadal, Novak Djokovic, and Andy Murray, and that trend has been maintained through generations. Rivalries have always existed throughout tennis history, and I think we play a fundamental role in the appeal of our sport. That's why I'm glad to know that I am developing that kind of relationship with Carlos. Rivalries have a special meaning both for fans and players. These elements make tennis more exciting, and I'm happy to be part of it. Alcaraz doesn't find weaknesses in Sinner's tennis. Alcaraz, Jannik and I have been on the circuit since we were young and we know each other's games perfectly. There is almost nothing to hide on the court. Jannik is a player practically without weaknesses. He is powerful in attack and his defense is incredibly fast and stable. He completely dominated the 2025 season, winning 2 Grand Slams, the ATP Finals, and remaining in the fight for world number 1 until the end. Playing well against him is not enough. You have to maintain concentration throughout the entire match and there is no room for complacency. He is a player against whom you must give 100% from the first point to the last in order to have a chance to win. The challenge Sinner faces when playing against Alcaraz. Sinner, he is one of the best players on the current circuit, perhaps even the best. Playing against him is always a challenge, but it is also very fun. Every match has a completely different story and rhythm, which makes it even more exciting. He is incredibly fast, so it is difficult to get past him at any point on the court. Additionally, he is very strong mentally, playing every point as if it were the last. These are the greatest challenges I face every time I play against him, says Jannik Sinner, who, along with Carlos Alcaraz, plans to dominate world tennis for many years. Impactful message from Alcaraz about his match against Sinner before the Australian Open. The Mercian tennis player has stated that this kind of match is a great opportunity to assess his physical condition before playing the only Grand Slam he has not lifted. Carlos Alcaraz continues his vacation in Miami, enjoying his last days before returning to the court. The Mercian will play again on December 7th and 8th in the United States in 2 exhibition matches to get into rhythm ahead of the next season. In 2026, Alcaraz will seek to defend his world number 1 title and win as many tournaments as possible, with the Australian Open as his main objective since it is the only Grand Slam he still does not have in his record. To get the best rhythm ahead of the tournament, in addition to facing Frances Tiafoe and João Fonseca on the already scheduled dates, Carlitos will also play against Jannik Sinner in Seoul on January 10th. Although there has been much criticism from former tennis players about the number of exhibition matches the Spaniard plays, Alcaraz has defended himself by saying that this kind of match is a great opportunity to assess my physical condition and feel better before the Australian Open. Having the opportunity to play in front of Korean fans is incredibly motivating. Also, playing in a new environment helps me tremendously in my preparation for the season, Carlos added in an interview for Tennis Korea. In addition to justifying his match against Sinner in South Korea before playing the Australian Open, the Spaniard dedicated a few words to his biggest rival on court. Jannik and I have faced each other on many important stages and have played intense matches. We have faced each other in several Grand Slam finals and I think we have strengthened each other, Carlos said. Finally, the tennis player has said that the rivalry between him and the Italian is positive, and he hopes to continue facing Sinner throughout his career. With a long career ahead, I hope we can continue with this positive rivalry that will help us grow together, and the final message surprised all the fans. I think in the next match I will beat Sinner after making some changes in training.